Hello and welcome to the Warhammer 40k Imperial Guard Tactics video. We're going to continue with our sort of Guard Basics series. And today we're going to be looking at the Autocannon heavy weapon. So, the Autocannon is well known amongst Guard commanders. It makes Space Marine players envious, the fact that we have access to this weapon in such abundance when the Space Marines only get access to the heavy bolter in their heavy weapon squads. For many years, we're talking edition after edition, the Autocannon was the favoured weapon of the Imperial Guard's commander. It combines a low cost with a high strength, something that was well sought after in editions gone by, when vehicles could be blown up on a glance. Yes. However, times have changed. It's a lot harder to blow vehicles up on a glance now, obviously. And is the Autocannon still the king that it once was? Well, we're going to have a look. First things we need to do, though, is to have a look at what is an Autocannon, what you get in the Autocannon. Well, start off, it's 10 points, same price as a heavy bolter. It is strength 7, AP 4, so plus 2 strength over the heavy bolter. And the reason I keep comparing this weapon to the heavy bolter is because a lot of Guard commanders see them as mutually exclusive weapons, but I'm not so sure. Anyway, we'll get into that later. So 10 points, strength 7, AP 4, heavy 2, range 48 inches. Okay, so it's got a lower rate of fire but a higher strength and a higher range. It's good. It's a good gun, the Autocannon. I'm never going to tell you that the Autocannon is bad. However, it does have some drawbacks. Number one is it only fires 2 shots, and this is a big disadvantage, because if you are like me, when you fire a 2-shot weapon, you miss with both. That's one reason why I love the heavy bolter. It's actually something I forgot to say in the heavy bolter video, but raise your hand if you have fired a heavy bolter at something and hit 1 out of 3 times. Raise your hand if you have fired your Autocannon twice at something and only hit, 2 shots for your Autocannon and hit no times. It seems to be with Guard weapons that or ballistic skill 3 models that you always hit on the lower side of average. So if you've got 3 shots, you should hit 1.5 times. Sometimes it'll be 2, sometimes it'll be 1. Most of the time it's going to be 1. For the Autocannons, I seem to fire, if I fire an Autocannon blob at something, I have 6 shots, I'll hit twice. Just seems to be the way of things. So, big disadvantage of the Autocannon is the fact it only fires 2 shots. Okay? Obviously, advantage of the Autocannon is its high strength. If you shoot this thing at any infantry model, and I mean any, if you shoot this at a grot, if you shoot this at a tactical Terminator, if you shoot this at a fucking Centurion Devastator, they're all infantry, you're going to be wounding them on 2s. The high strength of the Autocannon is its saving grace. Okay? Because you can pretty much point this weapon at anything and you're probably going to do some damage to it. You point this at if you take a platoon of these, you somewhat mitigate its low rate of fire, you'll probably shred something. Okay. You're going to do pretty good with the Autocannon. Combined with its long range, makes it perfect for plinking away at things, and it means your squad is always going to be able to contribute to the fight. The Autocannon is a fantastic weapon, don't get me wrong. However, its high strength is also, or can also be, one of its big disadvantages. Now some of you are going to be thinking, what? Weird, how? Well, it can often mean that you'll be tempted to shoot at a target that the rest of your squad, and this is true of its range as well, longer range, that the rest of the squad either won't be able to hurt or won't be in range of. And that temptation will always be there, and sometimes that can work in your favour, because sometimes you'll just need to chip the last hull point off or do the last wound. But the majority of the time, what it's going to mean is you're going to be wasting the rest of your squad's firepower. And this is kind of a reason why I've fallen out of favour with the autocannon, because I was finding that instead of taking a 10-point upgrade from my squad and having a 10-point autocannon, I was actually finding I was taking a 60-point autocannon, because I was not shooting the rest of my squad at the same targets that my autocannon was shooting at. You know, my autocannon would be going after transports, light vehicles, or things that are on the other side of the board, and my infantry would just be sat there, thumbs up their asses, not doing anything. And same with its high strength, you will be tempted to use the autocannon to shoot at vehicles, things all the way up to armor 13. You can thread anything bar Land Raider or Lehman Russ with this weapon, which is again one of its big advantages. You can threaten any fucking target pretty much in the game. It's got a good threat, a good target range. Disadvantage, if you shoot at something big and fucking scary like a fucking Predator with this, or even something basic like a Rhino or a Razorback, the rest of your squad is going to be wasting their firepower. So it's a double-edged sword, the strength of the autocannon. It's not so clear-cut as a lot of guard commanders would like you to believe. So, just to go over that again, the autocannon, it's cheap. 10 points is a nice, cheap weapon upgrade. It's strong. If you have the discipline to make sure that you, when putting this in an infantry squad, if you have the discipline to 9 times out of 10, make sure you're firing this at infantry, then you will do well. And the other 1 time out of 10, you shoot at something like a transport or a big creature, is because you need to do that last wound. You just got to have the discipline with the autocannon. It's a disciplined weapon. Unlike the heavy bolter, where you can spray and pray at infantry all day and not worry about it, with the autocannon there will always be that temptation to shoot at the wrong type of target. Okay? Disadvantages, if you don't, it's got a low rate of fire, which means often you'll miss with both shots, unfortunately, and also there's always that temptation to shoot at the wrong target and they'll waste the rest of your squad's firepower. Now, what weapon does the autocannon, special weapon does the autocannon pair well with? Well, pretty much all of them but one. So if you're, it can kind of pair well with the flamethrower, but that's, I would say, its weakest, one of its weakest pairings, because the flamethrower is designed for close quarters anti-infantry, and the autocannon is obviously designed for long range anti-infantry. So, whilst they are both anti-infantry weapons, the autocannon will not really pair well with the flamer due to range differences. The sniper rifle it can pair well with, because the autocannon, sniper rifle can do well against most infantry targets because it will wound them on a 4+, and most monstrous creatures because it will be wounding them on a 4+. So it can go okay with this. If you face a lot of Tyranids, autocannon sniper rifle teams are alright. It can pair well with the plasma because they're both strength 7. Whilst the plasma's AP2 and traditionally serves as an anti-heavy infantry role, the plasma gun can work well with the autocannon due to them both being strength 7. But the most traditional and best combo, and it's been a staple bread and butter choice for guard for many years, is the grenade launcher autocannon combo. Simple matter of the fact is, the grenade launcher is cheap. It's 5 points. It's a third of the price of a plasma gun. It's only 1 strength different. Okay, so that's great. And if you shoot at infantry, you can either shoot crack to basically guarantee yourself an extra wound, or you can shoot frag to try and get multiple wounds. How you should treat the grenade, if you take an autocannon grenade launcher combo, how you should treat the grenade launcher is basically a 5-point upgrade to give your autocannon basically another shot. Okay, that's how I always treated it. Now, where is the autocannon best placed? It can find a comfortable home in any area of the platoon. And again, this links back to this autocannon's strongest point, and something I cannot stress enough, and is a reason why it is loved by guard players so much, is how versatile it is. You can put this in an infantry squad with a grenade launcher, and if you make sure, like I said, you're disciplined and 9 times out of 10 you shoot at infantry, you will not be let down. You will be putting wounds consistently on infantry all day, every turn. Good. It can go well in a platoon command squad for the same purposes. Sometimes you want your platoon command squad to stay out at the back of the field and just be safe, yet still contribute to the fight. Sometimes you need an autocannon for that. You put a 10-point upgrade in your platoon command squad, you stick it in a ruin at the far end, at the far back as you can. Nice bit of viewpoint, so you can see most of the board. Because of the 48-inch range, your platoon command squad will be perfectly happy to plink away at things all game, contributing to the fight. I almost think it's, in some ways, if you want a sort of, if you don't want to worry about wasting your squad's firepower, the best place to put it is in a platoon command squad. Because if you wanted to, you could take a autocannon and 2 grenade launchers in your platoon command squad, and bam! You're never going to be wasting your firepower then. You're always going to be able to shoot at those high toughness targets with your autocannon, and the rest of the squad will be able to keep up. So it's got a good home in both the infantry squad and a good home in the platoon command squad. It also really shines in the heavy weapons squad, and this brings me on to a really important point, which I bet a lot of people thought I'd forgotten about. Whilst the autocannon can be thought of as a generic take all comers, good against anything weapon, it actually has a really specialized role to play. Which it can perform really well if you are a savvy guard commander. If you put an autocannon, if you take 3 autocannons in a heavy weapons squad, the autocannon goes from being a take-all-comers weapon to a specialized anti-transport weapon. Okay, let me explain. Normally, heavy weapons squads are there to bring the heavier firepower to the platoon. But what if you take a lascannon heavy weapons squad, you've paid a lot of points, 105 points, for 3 shots. If you then have to waste those 3 really powerful Strength 9 AP2 shots to blow up an orc truck, kind of feels a bit like overkill. However, if you use your autocannon heavy weapon team, you get more shots, which means you are perfectly likely to glance that orc truck to death using your autocannon heavy weapon teams. So they do have they can be a take-all-comers weapon, but if you put them in a heavy weapon squad, they instantly become super specialized because they are perfect for opening up tin cans full of orcs or space marines or anything that is armor 10 or 11. The autocannon is designed to shred it to death. And very quickly, this is where its history as a transport shredder comes from, as a vehicle shredder comes from. Because I know you can hull point things to death now, and the autocannon can kind of do that well. But think of this, right? If you have an autocannon heavy weapon team and you shoot 6 shots, you're going to hit with 3 on average, and then against armor 10, you're going to do 2 points of damage, 2 hull points. Now you might get a pen, or against a rhino or something, you're going to get a glance or something similar. But my point is that you'll only probably do 2 hull points of damage. And in 7th edition, a penetrating hit with an autocannon can't blow the vehicle up. So you're not really going to slow it down. However, back in 6th edition, and all the editions before that, if you got a 6 on a penetrating hit, if you could blow a vehicle up, and you without AP 1 and 2 is what I'm trying to say. So in 6th edition, if you got a penetrating hit against the orc truck and rolled a 6 with the autocannon, you would blow it up. Or against the rhino, you would blow it up. You can't do that anymore. In editions gone by, 5th edition and 4th edition and 3rd edition and so on, you could actually blow vehicles up in a glance. There were 2 vehicle damage tables. You could roll, if you rolled a 6 on the vehicle damage on the glancing damage table against vehicles, you would blow a vehicle up. That's where the autocannon gained its reputation for being a transport shredder, because you would put down these 3 hits, and against most vehicles you would get 2 to 3 glancing hits, and you could shred, or even penetrating hits, and you could blow them up really easily. Really fucking easily. Think about that. If you got a penetrating hit against an orc truck on a 4, 5 or 6, you blew it up. That's insane. It's absolutely insane. On a glancing hit on a 6, you blew it up. That's insane. Now that's why autocannons had a really good reputation as being able to blow vehicles up. Really good reputation for it. Now, in 7th edition, this is where I think bringing me back to my final point, this is why I think they have fallen from that role. They can still do it when dedicated in heavy weapon teams, but no longer can you shoot a heavy weapon, a autocannon from your infantry squad at a transport and expect to blow it up in one shot. You used to be able to. You used to be able to do that. You can't do that anymore. So, there's the autocannon. To sum it up, it's cheap at 10 points, and in theory it can take on any threat. You just have to be disciplined, because when in infantry squads you've got to be careful not to be tempted to waste all your firepower. However, in a pinch, if you've got to take off that last wound or take off that last hull point, the autocannon can chime in. So it's a very versatile weapon. It can be found at home in any area of the platoon, heavy weapon, infantry squad or platoon command squad. Overall, it's a very good weapon, and if you don't know what you're facing off against, then the autocannon can be a good choice. However, it does struggle with a lower rate of fire, and it does struggle with trying to find its role in the game these days, because it struggles to be the premier transport killer it once was. It can still do it by shredding hull points off, but it's a lot less efficient. And generally speaking, when shooting at a vehicle these days, the best thing to do is to hit it with a big fucking gun and to blow it up. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you think. See you guys next time.